One often overlooked until it's too late specification for your radio upgrade might be the RCA outputs or preamp outputs voltage. Let's dive right into why that should be an important factor if you plan to add an amplifier to your system. Sony products in all categories are well known for their high sound quality, and our car audio products are no exception. Our radios, amplifiers, speakers, and subwoofers are all designed with performance, durability, and of course, accurate sound reproduction in mind. Upgrading the radio in your vehicle is a pretty common thing, especially if you're looking for more advanced features like Apple CarPlay or Android Auto for easy-to-use music and navigational app. But maybe you want to add a new amplifier to power some new speakers or a subwoofer. No big deal. You can connect them to the RCA outputs on the radio to get signal to them. But you may have noticed that the RCA or preamp outputs typically have a voltage measurement as a specification on the radio packaging or in the owner's manual. Some are listed as 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 volts. What does that mean? And how does that impact the amplifiers that I'm connecting them to? Well, generally speaking, the higher the voltage on the RCA outputs, the better. Any decent high-powered car audio amplifier should have some sort of an adjustment dial on it. And this is typically called the input gain or the input sensitivity. While both are accurate, the latter term better describes what that adjustment affects. In this case, how sensitive the amplifier is to the incoming audio signal. In fact, you will typically have one of these adjustments for each pair of channels on the multi-channel amplifier, so you can manage them independently based on what is supplying the signal to the amplifier inputs. Furthermore, when setting the sensitivity, the rule of thumb is to typically set it as low as possible. This setting is a compromise. The higher the sensitivity is set, the volume of the output of those channels is typically higher. However, at those higher settings, the noise floor of those channels is raised. This might be apparent by a hiss or hum on those channels when the volume is low or muted. At a lower sensitivity, the opposite is true. Less noise, but less volume. Therefore, the compromise is to get the volume that you need without the noisy artifacts of the sensitivity adjustment being too high. With a higher voltage output from the radio, the input sensitivity of the connected amplifier can naturally be set lower with much less compromise. The lower the voltage of the output, the compromised input sensitivity would be set higher to get the volume needed. Again, the higher the RCA output voltage, the better. Sony Car Radio RCA outputs are either 2 volts or 5 volts. They're third-party verified and measured per RCA connection, not as an average or a sum of multiple connections like some of the competitors do. It's also important to measure what the radio can output in terms of clean, unclipped signal. For instance, a 4-volt radio out might be great, but if a clipped audio signal arrives at your amplifier, it doesn't matter what the settings are on your amplifier, the result won't be good. It's important to know what the rated power of the output can achieve and deliver to the amplifier. Here's a snapshot of the audio signal from a Sony Car Radio rated at 2 volts, providing just over 2 volts output with no clipping. This was achieved about volume 44 out of 50 on the radio tested. Here's a snapshot of the audio signal from that same Sony Car Radio rated at 2 volts, providing well over 2 volts output with a soft, clipped signal. This was achieved with about a volume of 45 out of 50 on the radio tested. This small soft clip is hardly perceptible and suitable for subwoofer amp installation if desired. Here is a snapshot of an audio signal from a Sony Car Radio rated at 5 volts, providing just over 5 volts output with no clipping. This was achieved about volume 49 out of 50 on the radio tested. Here's a snapshot of the audio signal from that same Sony Car Radio rated at 5 volts, providing well over 5 volts output but with a soft clipping signal. This was achieved with about volume 50 out of 50 on the radio tested. The small soft clip is hardly perceptible and suitable for subwoofer amp installation if desired. In these examples, the 2-volt radio could certainly provide a clean signal at 2 volts or more, so the amplifier input sensitivity could be adjusted accordingly. However, a radio with a 5-volt RCA output can provide more than double the voltage on a signal, and all that extra voltage is amplified, and you get more volume even with a lower sensitivity. The headroom of the amplifier is increased with the 5-volt radio as well. With the sensitivity set lower, it has more capability to reproduce the sound correctly, giving you better sound performance from your equipment. Thanks for checking out this video on why the high voltage RCA outputs on your Sony AV car radio can be a huge benefit as you build the amplified audio system in a vehicle. Check out our other videos for more Sony car audio product features or tips on how to properly set them up. Thanks for watching. See ya.